Bipartisan effort to solve the general fund budget crisis. We're over a third of the way to the legislative session. The deficit of the $700 million shortfall has not been addressed, and so we're coming today with our package to try to help address the $700 million shortfall in the general fund and try to work in a bipartisan manner, and we'll go through and explain our bills, and then we'll take comments afterwards. So we'll start over here, Representative John Knight.
Thank you for being here today. I think most of you know what bill I carry. That's the bill that will remove the sales tax on groceries. I think it's important that we continue to try to get that bill passed. As you know, we're one of only 2 states that still have a full sales tax on groceries. And I think we need that as we go through this process, as we look at additional revenue, as we talk about tax fairness as well. Alabama has one of the most aggressive tax structures of any state in the nation, just about. And in order to do that, and for people to convince that we need more taxes, we're going to have to do something as it relates to our tax structure. And we start by removing the sales tax on food. So my bill is there. It's been there for the last 10 to 15 years, and I'll continue to try to get that passed.
Well, as many of you all know, for the last couple of years, the bill that I've been carrying and pushed is the minimum wage bill. The governor has shown leadership in regards to us moving forward as the general fund budget issue. He's saying to the state that we cannot function off a general fund budget that is minimum wage. And so we're saying the same thing about families, that families cannot function and survive off of minimum wage here in the state of Alabama. What we do know that we are one of 5 states that do not have a minimum wage on the book. That is totally unacceptable. What we are doing, we'll put forth a bill that is very business friendly. Over 3 years, we will have the minimum wage up to $9.80, 85 cents every year. That will be going up by 2018. So that's a very business-friendly bill we think we have. The minimum wage, the pocketbook issue, is an issue of our time and day, and so we're asking our colleagues to come aboard. We got organizations that have businesses such as Walmart, Target, even McDonald's now, who's considering raising their wages. So I think the momentum is growing, and we're asking our colleagues to jump on board. Let us not be last in this. Let us be first in something good in the South.
And that's Representative Milton.
I'm Representative Patricia Todd, and I do want to comment about the minimum wage bill. There is no city in America where someone making minimum wage can afford fair market rent. So that's another reason why we need to raise the minimum wage. My bill is to increase the tax on tobacco products, cigarettes, which I've had for a number of years, and hopefully will be considered this year. The state spends a lot of money in Medicaid on health-related illnesses due to smoking, and so this would be both a savings and what it would bring to the general fund, but also decrease the expenditures that Medicaid and public health have to spend on smoking-related illnesses. The fiscal note's about 20 to 25 million.
I'm Marcel Black from Tuscumbia, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the caucus in the position to expand Medicaid. You know, that's an issue that's been out there. I want us to urge the governor to do that. That does a number of things. First, it helps those people that are the working folks that are working every day, yet they are at that level that they can't provide health care for it. I also would urge the healthcare providers to get behind this because they know how it affects. We're going to lose our rural hospitals. That's going to mean we lose our doctors in those areas. That means we lose our pharmacies in that area, and you're going to have to travel to major cities in order to get health care. And I would just urge the governor, we'll be doing that through resolution, probably just to urge him to reconsider his position on that. That would help so many Alabamians and would help the economy as well. Thank you.
And to bag that up, I just received a call yesterday from a lady in my district that is 39 years old. And her concern was she has a chronic hypertension problem. And she now has to decide if she can take 1 pill a week. She can't afford the medication, and she works every day. She's going to work every day and not earning enough to be able to pay for her health insurance. So she has to decide whether she and her family will eat or she'll take one pill a week and try to survive. That's no way we should be treating our citizens at all.
Hi, I'm Rod Scott, and we're going to present a package of about 6 bills that deal with closing corporate tax loopholes. Those bills will bring in approximately $60 million or more. And it's really to our advantage. These are loopholes that we've known about for quite some time, I'd say at least a decade, that we are now trying to put an end to, because it gives an unfair advantage to a specific group of corporations that in essence are really not paying taxes within the state of Alabama.
Good morning. My name is Adeline Clark. I represent House District 97 in Mobile, and I'd just like to say that I am in full support of our agenda, and thank you for coming.
Then I guess I'm the caboose. But I'll tell you about the 2 bills that I have. The 2 bills that I have will generate $280 million. I'm sorry, you want to go next? You go next. Yeah, you got to go.
I'm not the caboose. Good morning, I'm Representative Barbara Drummond from Mobile, representing House District 103. I not only support this package, and I support it for a number of reasons, and listening to what all of the representatives have said, we're talking about real people here who have real needs. I mean, I was just getting out of a meeting and saw some of our local folks from Mobile talking about being in Montgomery today because there are several people in our court systems who are about to lose their jobs because we don't have enough money. And you know, when you look at that, talking about the person with hypertension or the person who is about to lose their job, these decisions that we're making are very imperative. We need Medicaid expansion. We need to close the loopholes because everything needs to be fair. We need to look at this because it's affecting people. So that's why I'm supporting this agenda. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Louise Alexander, and I represent District 56. That's the best area and everything. And I do concur with my colleagues here today, especially the one on minimum wage. I think it is right and it is fair that they get a good pay to take care of their families. And Medicaid expansion is one of my pet peeves. I do concur with each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Now the caboose. I apologize too. I want to say we have 2 lottery bills. In the past, we've come with 1 lottery bill. These bills will generate each bill $280 million. We can't pass both. Wish we could. I don't know how we could have 2 lotteries. But this bill, the first bill is for the general fund. The money goes to the Medicaid in Alabama, and it gives the people the right to vote. It's a constitutional amendment. The governor had said that he would allow the people to have the right to vote on this. He cannot veto this piece of legislation. We're one of only 6 states that don't have a lottery in the United States, and 2 of those 6 states have casino gaming. So all of our neighboring states have lotteries or some form of gaming. The argument has been said that we don't have gaming in Alabama. We do have gaming in Alabama. We have 4 tracks that could operate under a local act, and we also have 2 casinos operated by the Native Americans that are able to operate without table games. So part of our package is going to be a resolution also urging the governor, a House joint resolution, urging the governor to enter into good faith negotiations with the Poarch Creek Band of Creek Indians for the establishment of a trial state compact. What we want to do, a tribal state contract, I apologize. What we want to do is let the governor enter into a compact with them, and then in our 2 lottery bills, and the other one is education related, there's language in the bill that says if the governor ever enters into a compact with the Poarch Creek Indians, then we're allowing the 4 tracks that have received ability to operate under their local acts. They can also have the same privileges and rights as the other 2 casinos that are operated by the tribal industry. So therefore, we have 2 lottery bills. The one in the education is just like the one I sponsored in the past. It's similar to the Hope Scholarship Fund in Georgia. The problem with the Georgia Scholarship Fund is that they can't keep up with the rate of inflation on the tuition. So what this bill just says is basically what it said in the past, is it puts a pot of money sitting off to the side. If you have a certain number of students, they get to participate in the pot of money. Well, for example, one year one student could receive 85% of their tuition paid for. The next year it may be 90%. So they're very simple in nature. We don't care which bill they take. We just think we need an opportunity to allow the people to have the right to vote on a lottery. Okay, we'll take questions. Yes, sir.
Recently, the Supreme Court ruled against the state's redistricting. So that brings up the possibility that in the future, a federal judge or the U.S. Supreme Court could force the state to redistrict. Now, with that hanging over our heads, some legal analysts have suggested that it's possible that anything this legislative session accomplishes will be questionable if we have to have special elections and a new legislature is elected in like a year or two. Under those circumstances, is it necessarily wise to do anything bold? Why not just...
Well, I'm going to let Representative Knight address that since the Black Caucus has been taking that by the forefront. But I'll say this, we can't sit on the sideline and do nothing. So we're going to continue to operate as if people in Alabama are hurting, and this is just a package that we're going to address in the legislative session. I'm going to turn it over to Representative Knight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I'm not at liberty to talk about the legalities of the suit, but the Supreme Court didn't declare anything unconstitutional at this point. And I don't think that we can afford to sit back and wait on the U.S. Supreme Court or anybody else. We have an obligation, a responsibility as we're duly constituted to take care of the people's business while we're here. So I think that we must do that, and that's what this forum is all about, trying to make sure that we take care of it. But as it relates to the U.S. Supreme Court, we're going to litigate that in court, and whatever happens there happens. But at the same time, we've got to balance budgets. We've got to try to come with some tax fairness in this state and other things that we've talked about today.
I would just like to make this point to your question. In the past, when this has been done, even at the congressional level, when some congressional districts in, I believe it was South Carolina and other states, that didn't stop Congress from continuing, and none of them, that to my knowledge, have ruled that way. None of them have ruled that the district's actions by legislative bodies that had to be redistricted was retrogressive in the fact that anything they did was not valid. But I'm not aware of one of that. I don't think that would be an issue in this either.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes. I know you mentioned it at the start of your remarks, but like you said, we're a third of the way through the session. Why are we seeing an agenda now and not earlier?
Well, we realize in the past with the numbers that we have in the super minority that we need to work in a bipartisan manner, and that's what we've tried to do. And we've sat in the legislative chamber for 10 days, and we've passed bills dealing with legislative morality, bills dealing with prayer. We've been sitting on the sidelines wanting to work together. So we have not seen any real leadership, and bills come forward to address the issue of the $700 million shortfall in the budget. So we are not going to stand by any longer. We're going to try to work in a bipartisan manner, but we're going to show our leadership, and we don't want people to say, well, the Democrats hadn't offered a plan. So we have a plan, and the majority of our plan is a voluntary plan. It's not some of the taxes that have been mentioned by the governor or the Republican leadership, and we're not opposed to all of his plan. We want to work with the governor on his plan, but we want our plan to be addressed too now, and it's a voluntary plan. It's, for example, the lottery, the gaming compact with Poarch Creek Indians, the tobacco tax, and that'll solve almost 50 to 60% of the deficit in the general fund. So the corporate tax loophole bills that the governor has presented are the same bills that the Alabama House Democratic Caucus has sponsored for the past 5 years. They're a mirror image on them. They just got a copy of them from the Legislative Reference Service, and they move forward. And that's okay. If they want their name on our bills, that's okay, because we're going to work with them. Yes, sir.
This is for anyone, the bill sponsors or anyone on the panel. Have you heard from the other side? Have you gotten any kind of response as to what your package of bills are? I know, Mr. Knight, like you said, you introduced your bill many times, Mr. Todd, Mr. Melton. Have you had any kind of feedback, I guess, from the other side, from the governor's office on what you're trying to do?
Dario, you want to address that?
Specifically speaking about the minimum wage bill, off record, many of my colleagues will admit that they think it's shameful that we have a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, too many cater to lobbyists. And as Democrats, well, we're more concerned about the people of Alabama. I'm trying to ask our colleagues to be more concerned about the people versus being concerned about lobbyists. But I think there is a mood in the chamber on some of the things that you've heard Representative Ford relate to, the tax loopholes. There's a whole lot of corporation going on with that from the governor's office. So I think there's some things that we can work on. But as we move forward, I think we need to focus more on people than on the lobbyists over here.
Anybody else?
Representative Ford, like you said, you've proposed the lottery bill many times. Any reason to think that this year will be different?
Absolutely. I've had a lot of Republicans come to me and they said on the record, before they were off the record, that they're going to support this bill. They just don't want to sponsor it, which is fine with me. If they want to sponsor it, we'll work with them on that also, because we realize we're in a super minority. But I think the votes are out there. Polling numbers show over 70% of the people in Alabama want the opportunity to vote on lottery. So why would you deny the best form of democracy to the people as allowing a form of a constitutional amendment to let them vote on such an important measure? And when we're losing $282 million across state lines and we're funding Georgia's children's education when we could be funding our own education for our children in Alabama, and let's keep Alabamians' money here in the state.
Just one more question.
Yes.
It's been a lot of years, but Alabama has voted down a lottery before. What are the indications that this time would be different?
Well, this is my personal opinion, and we did a lot of research, and I got elected in 2000, and the lottery last was voted on, I believe, in 1998. It failed by a slim margin. Part of the problem was that the governor at the time had a lot of pork in the project for the lottery bill, and that's what killed the bill. It's been over 15 years. It's time to have a vote again on the lottery. I think that's way overdue. It's probably 10 years overdue. Since then, so many other states have created the Powerball with the lottery, and they're participating in it, so a lot of money's coming back to their states. And listen, if you don't like the lottery, don't play the lottery. If you don't like the tobacco tax, don't smoke. So that's why we're excited about our plan being a voluntary plan. We want to work across the party aisle, and we want to work with the governor on part of his package. But I can tell you, if we continue to do what we're doing about the lottery, we're going to continue to be funding Georgia's children, Tennessee and Florida and Mississippi's children. Just let the people have the right to vote. Okay? Thank y'all very much.